Hinduism, the Eternal Path Unraveled. Welcome, dear listeners, to the opening chapter of our series, Religions That Shaped the World. Tonight, we step into a realm where time bends, where the divine dances with the mortal, and where ancient whispers still echo through the ages. This is the tale of Hinduism, a faith so old it defies beginnings, so vast it embraces contradictions, and so alive it continues to thrive in the hearts of millions. So settle in, let your imagination soar, and join me as we uncover the mysterious origins and enduring legacy of this eternal path, the land of 1,000 rivers. Imagine a land where the earth itself seems to breathe with sacredness, where the mighty Himalayas stand as silent sentinels, where the Ganges flows like a lifeline of the divine, and where dense jungles hum with the songs of creation. This is ancient India, the birthplace of Hinduism, a religion as vibrant and varied as the subcontinent that cradles it. Unlike faiths with a single prophet or a solitary scripture, Hinduism is a mosaic, a living, breathing blend of rituals, myths, and philosophies woven together over thousands of years. Our journey begins in the misty dawn of history, around 2500 BCE, in the fertile plains of the Indus Valley. Here, one of the world's earliest urban civilizations thrived. Cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro boasted advanced drainage systems, bustling markets, and homes of baked brick. But beneath the surface of this orderly society lay clues to a deeper but spiritual life. Archaeologists have unearthed small clay seals, enigmatic artifacts depicting horned figures in meditative poses, perhaps early incarnations of the god Shiva, and images of a mother goddess, hinting at reverence for fertility and creation. Were these the seeds of Hinduism? The Indus script remains undeciphered, leaving us to wonder about the beliefs of these ancient people. Then, as mysteriously as it rose, this civilization faded, swallowed by time, drought, or perhaps the arrival of newcomers. The Aryans and the sacred word. Enter the Aryans, nomadic tribes from the steppes of Central Asia, who swept into India around 1500 BCE. With them came the Vedas, collections of hymns, chants, and rituals that would become the bedrock of Hindu thought. Picture a firelit scene. Priests, their voices rising in rhythmic Sanskrit, offering praises to Indra, the god of thunder, or Agni, the flame that bridges earth and heaven. The Vedas were not written at first. They were memorized, passed from generation to generation with breathtaking precision, a sacred oral tradition that preserved the wisdom of the cosmos. The Rig Veda, the oldest of these texts, speaks of a world alive with divine forces, rivers that sing, winds that whisper secrets, and skies that hold the fates of men. It asks profound questions: who truly knows, and who can declare whence this creation came into being? This curiosity, this openness to mystery, set the stage for Hinduism's evolution. Over time, the Aryans settled, their culture blending with that of the indigenous peoples, giving rise to new ideas, new gods, and a religion that would grow ever more complex. The pillars of belief. As Hinduism took shape, it wove together a tapestry of core concepts that still define it today: dharma, karma, and moksha. Dharma is the thread that holds life together, the moral order, the duty that varies for each soul, whether a king ruling justly or a farmer tending the earth. Karma is the law of action and consequence, a cosmic tally where every deed, kind or cruel, plants a seed for the future, often across lifetimes. And moksha? That's the ultimate prize: freedom from the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, a union with the infinite. These ideas didn't emerge in a vacuum. They grew from the Upanishads, philosophical texts that followed the Vedas, urging seekers to look within. Tat tvam asi, they declare, thou art that. You, the individual soul, are one with the universal spirit, Brahman. It's a radical thought even now. Beneath all differences lies a shared divinity, gods and epics. No exploration of Hinduism is complete without its pantheon of gods and the grand tales that bring them to life. At the heart stand the Trimurti, Brahma, the creator who dreams the world into being, Vishnu, the preserver who descends as avatars to restore balance, and Shiva, the destroyer who dances the universe into renewal. Each god is a universe of stories. Shiva, with his matted hair and trident, Vishnu as the blue-skinned Krishna charming the world. Take the Ramayana, an epic of love and valor. Prince Rama, exiled from his kingdom, roams the forests with his wife Sita and brother Lakshmana. When Sita is abducted by the demon king Ravana, Rama wages a war that shakes the heavens, proving that dharma triumphs over chaos. Or consider the Mahabharata, a sprawling saga of warring cousins. Within it lies the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna counsels the warrior Arjuna. Act, but let go of the fruits of your actions. These aren't just stories, they're lessons etched into the soul of Hindu culture, a faith of many paths. Hinduism is no monolith. It's a river with countless tributaries, schools of thought like Advaita, which sees all as one, or Dvaita, which cherishes the distinction between God and soul. There are paths to moksha for every seeker. Bhakti Yoga, the way of devotion, where love for the divine consumes the heart. Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, probing the nature of reality. And Karma Yoga, selfless action offered to the divine. Temples dot the land, from the golden shrines of Varanasi to the towering gopurams of Madurai, each a testament to this diversity. Daily life pulses with faith, morning pujas with sandalwood and flowers, festivals like Diwali lighting up the night, and pilgrimages to sacred rivers. Yet Hinduism has its shadows. The caste system, once fluid, hardened over time, and debates over equality persist. It's a faith that holds both beauty and struggle, a mirror to humanity itself. Hinduism's reach stretches far beyond India. In Southeast Asia, ancient kingdoms built temples like Angkor Wat, dedicated to Vishnu. In the West, yoga studios hum with Om, and thinkers like Thoreau pondered the Gita. Reincarnation, once an Eastern idea, now captivates global imaginations. Hinduism adapts, absorbing and influencing, a testament to its resilience. Judaism, the eternal covenant. Picture a vast, sun-scorched desert where the sands stretch endlessly toward the horizon. In this harsh landscape, a man named Abraham embarked on a journey that would change the course of history. Born in the city of Ur, in what is now Iraq, Abraham was called by God to leave his homeland and travel to a new land, where he would become the father of a great nation. This was the beginning of the Jewish people's special covenant with God, a relationship that would shape their identity and destiny for millennia to come. But what drove Abraham to heed this divine call? And how did this covenant lay the foundation for one of the world's oldest religions? Let us journey through the sands of time to uncover the story of Judaism, a faith forged in the fires of history, tempered by trials and illuminated by an unyielding hope, a promise sealed in faith. Abraham's journey was not just a physical one, it was a leap of faith. God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars, and a land where they would dwell in peace. This covenant, sealed with a ritual of fire and sacrifice, marked the Jewish people as chosen, not for privilege, but for purpose. They were to be a light unto the nations, bearers of a divine message of justice, compassion, and monotheism. But the path was not easy. Abraham's descendants, the Israelites, would face trials that tested their faith and fortitude. Centuries later, the Israelites found themselves enslaved in Egypt, toiling under the whips of their oppressors. But God had not forgotten his promise. He raised up a leader named Moses, who, with a staff in hand and faith in his heart, confronted the mighty Pharaoh and demanded freedom for his people. What followed was a series of miraculous events, culminating in the parting of the Red Sea and the Israelites' escape from bondage. This exodus, as it came to be known, was not just a liberation from slavery. It was a birth of a nation bound by a shared destiny and a divine law. At Mount Sinai, amidst thunder and lightning, God gave Moses the Torah, a sacred text that would become the cornerstone of Jewish life. The Torah, with its 613 commandments, was more than a set of rules. It was a blueprint for living a life of holiness, justice, and community. The Israelites, now a free people, wandered the desert for 40 years, their faith tested by hunger, thirst, and doubt. Yet through it all, the covenant held them together, a beacon guiding them to the promised land, a kingdom united and divided. After years of wandering, the Israelites finally entered Canaan, the land promised to Abraham. Under the leadership of Joshua, they conquered the land and established a confederation of tribes. But it was not until the rise of the monarchy that Israel became a unified kingdom. Saul, the first king, was a warrior who defended his people against their enemies. He was followed by David, a shepherd turned king whose reign marked the golden age of Israel. David captured Jerusalem, making it his capital, and dreamed of building a temple to house the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest containing the tablets of the law. That dream was realized by his son, Solomon, whose wisdom was as renowned as his wealth. Solomon built the first temple, a marvel of architecture and a symbol of Jewish unity and faith. But Solomon's reign, for all its splendor, sowed the seeds of division. Heavy taxes and forced labor bred discontent, and upon his death the kingdom split in two, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. This division weakened the nation, leaving it vulnerable to foreign powers, exile, and return. In 722 BCE, the northern kingdom of Israel fell to the Assyrians, its people scattered and lost to history. Judah, the southern kingdom, survived for another century before succumbing to the Babylonians in 586 BCE. The first temple was destroyed, and the Jewish elite were exiled to Babylon. This was a time of profound despair, captured in the haunting words of Psalm 137. By the rivers of Babylon, we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. Yet even in exile, the Jewish spirit endured. Prophets like Jeremiah and Ezekiel offered hope, promising a return to Jerusalem and a renewed covenant with God. In 539 BCE, that hope became reality when Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Babylon and allowed the Jews to return home. The exiles, carrying the sacred vessels of the temple, rebuilt their holy city and constructed the Second Temple, a symbol of resilience and renewal, a faith tested by fire. The Second Temple period was a time of both triumph and turmoil. Under Persian rule, the Jews enjoyed a measure of autonomy, but the rise of Alexander the Great and the Hellenistic empires brought new challenges. Greek culture, with its emphasis on philosophy and art, clashed with Jewish traditions, leading to tensions and, eventually, the Maccabean Revolt. The Maccabees, a family of Jewish warriors, fought for religious freedom, their victory celebrated each year during Hanukkah. But the greatest challenge came with the arrival of Rome. In 63 BCE, Judea became a Roman province, its people chafing under foreign rule. Messianic hopes flared, and rebellions erupted, but each was crushed with brutal efficiency. In 70 CE, after a prolonged siege, Jerusalem fell, and the Second Temple was destroyed, its stones toppled, its treasures looted. The Jewish people, scattered across the Roman Empire, entered a new era, the diaspora, the birth of rabbinic Judaism. With the temple gone, Jewish worship shifted from sacrifices to study and prayer. The rabbis, scholars of the law, became the new leaders, their teachings compiled in the Mishnah and later the Talmud. These texts, a blend of legal rulings, ethical debates, and folklore, became the foundation of rabbinic Judaism, a faith that could thrive without a central shrine. Synagogues sprang up across the diaspora, places where the Torah was read and the community gathered. The Talmud is a marvel of human thought, a conversation across centuries where rabbis debate everything from the mundane to the mystical. One famous tale tells of Rabbi Akiva, who, when asked why he continued to teach despite Roman persecution, replied with a story of a fox and fish. The fish, he said, swim in water to survive, just as Jews study Torah to live. This spirit of resilience, of finding life in the Word, has sustained the Jewish people through countless trials and triumphs. The history of Judaism is a tapestry of joy and sorrow, of exile and return. In medieval Europe, Jews faced persecution from the Crusades to the Spanish Inquisition, their communities scapegoated and expelled. Yet even in the darkest times, they preserved their faith, their scholarship, and their hope. The Jewish Enlightenment, or Haskalah, in the 18th century brought new ideas, blending tradition with modernity. The 20th century brought the ultimate test, the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were murdered in an act of unimaginable cruelty. But from the ashes of that horror rose the state of Israel, a homeland reborn after 2,000 years. Today, Judaism continues to evolve, its traditions adapting to a changing world while holding fast to the covenant that began with Abraham, a light unto the nations. Judaism's influence extends far beyond its followers. Its ethical teachings, justice, compassion, the sanctity of life, have shaped the moral foundations of Western civilization. Its emphasis on education and debate has fostered a culture of inquiry and innovation. From the Ten Commandments to the wisdom of the prophets, Judaism's voice echoes through time, a reminder of the power of faith and the resilience of the human spirit. As we conclude this chapter, we are left with a sense of wonder at the journey of the Jewish people, a journey marked by trials and triumphs, by questions and revelations. What does it mean to be chosen? How does one keep faith in the face of adversity? These are questions that Judaism invites us to ponder, to wrestle with, just as Jacob wrestled with the angel. And as we turn the page to the next chapter of our series, we carry with us the light of this ancient faith, a beacon that has guided countless souls through the darkness. Buddhism, the path to enlightenment. Imagine a young prince born into a life of luxury and privilege, yet haunted by the mysteries of existence. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, and his journey from palace walls to the forests of India would forever change the course of human history. This is the story of Buddhism, a faith born from one man's quest for truth, a religion that has touched the hearts of millions and shaped the spiritual landscape of the world. But what drove Siddhartha to abandon his throne, and how did his teachings spread across continents, leaving an indelible mark on art, philosophy, and culture? Let us step back in time to uncover the story of Buddhism, a path of wisdom, compassion, and awakening. The Prince and the Four Sights. Our tale begins in 563 BCE in the kingdom of Kapilavastu, nestled in the foothills of the Himalayas. Siddhartha Gautama was born into royalty, his father a king determined to shield him from the world's sorrows. The palace was a gilded cage, filled with pleasures, but devoid of reality. Yet fate had other plans. On 4 fateful excursions, Siddhartha encountered what would become known as the Four Sights: an old man, a sick man, a corpse, and a wandering ascetic. These glimpses of suffering, death, and renunciation shattered his illusions, igniting a burning question. Is there a way to end this cycle of pain? At the age of 29, Siddhartha made a choice that would echo through the ages. He left his palace, his wife, and his newborn son, trading silk robes for a mendicant's cloth. His quest for enlightenment had begun. For 6 years, he wandered the forests of India, studying under sages and practicing extreme asceticism. But neither the rigors of self-denial nor the teachings of others brought him the answers he sought. Finally, he sat beneath a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing not to rise until he had found the truth. The Awakening. Under the Bodhi tree, Siddhartha meditated through the night, his mind piercing the veils of illusion. As dawn broke, he attained enlightenment, becoming the Buddha, the awakened one. He had discovered the 4 noble truths: that life is marked by suffering, that suffering arises from desire, that it can be overcome, and that there is a path to liberation. This path, known as the Eightfold Path, offered a guide to ethical living, mental discipline, and wisdom. The Buddha's teachings were revolutionary. Unlike the rigid hierarchies of his time, he proclaimed that enlightenment was open to all, regardless of caste or creed. He spoke of karma, the law of cause and effect, and nirvana, the ultimate release from the cycle of rebirth. His message was simple, yet profound. Through mindfulness, compassion, and understanding, one could transcend suffering and achieve inner peace. But the Buddha did not retreat into solitude. For the next 45 years, he traveled across India, teaching his disciples and establishing a community of monks and nuns known as the Sangha. His sermons, delivered in the common tongue, resonated with the masses, drawing followers from all walks of life. The Buddha's compassion was boundless. He welcomed the outcast, the sinner, and the seeker alike, offering a path to redemption and awakening. The spread of the Dharma. After the Buddha's death, his teachings, known as the Dharma, began to spread beyond the borders of India. One of the most pivotal figures in this expansion was Emperor Ashoka, who ruled much of the Indian subcontinent in the 3rd century BCE. After a bloody conquest, Ashoka embraced Buddhism, renouncing violence and promoting the Dharma through edicts carved on pillars and rocks across his empire. He sent missionaries to distant lands, from Sri Lanka to Greece, planting the seeds of Buddhism in foreign soils. In Sri Lanka, the teachings took root, giving rise to the Theravada tradition, which emphasized the original teachings of the Buddha. In the north, along the Silk Road, Buddhism mingled with local cultures, evolving into the Mahayana school, which introduced new scriptures and the ideal of the bodhisattva, a being who delays enlightenment to help others. From there, Buddhism journeyed to China, where it blended with Taoism and Confucianism, and then to Korea and Japan, where it inspired Zen and other unique practices. Each culture embraced Buddhism in its own way, yet the core message of compassion and mindfulness remained. Buddhism's cultural legacy. Buddhism's influence extended far beyond the realm of religion. It left an indelible mark on art, architecture, and literature across Asia. In India, the stupas of Sanchi and Bharhut, adorned with intricate carvings, tell the stories of the Buddha's life and teachings. In China, the cave temples of Dunhuang, with their vibrant murals and statues, reflect the fusion of Buddhist and Chinese aesthetics. In Japan, the Zen gardens of Kyoto, with their raked gravel and carefully placed stones, embody the simplicity and tranquility of Buddhist philosophy. The teachings of the Buddha also inspired some of the world's greatest literary works. The Dhammapada, a collection of his sayings, offers timeless wisdom on ethics and mindfulness. The Jataka tales, stories of the Buddha's past lives, have been retold in countless languages, their lessons of kindness and sacrifice resonating across cultures. Buddhism's emphasis on inner peace and non-attachment has also influenced modern psychology, with mindfulness practices now widely used to promote mental well-being. Challenges and resilience. Yet Buddhism's journey was not without obstacles. In India, the rise of Hinduism and later Islam led to the decline of Buddhist institutions. Monasteries were abandoned, and the faith nearly vanished from its birthplace. In China, during the Tang dynasty, Buddhism faced persecution as emperors sought to curb its influence. In Tibet, the Chinese invasion of 1950 led to the destruction of monasteries and the exile of the Dalai Lama. But Buddhism, like a lotus rising from the mud, has always found a way to endure. In the modern world, Buddhism has experienced a resurgence, particularly in the West. Figures like the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh Rinpoche have brought the teachings of compassion and mindfulness to a global audience. Meditation retreats, yoga studios, and mindfulness apps have made Buddhist practices accessible to millions. Yet the question remains, can Buddhism's ancient wisdom address the challenges of our fast-paced, technology-driven world? A path for the future. As we reflect on the story of Buddhism, we are left with a sense of awe at its enduring legacy. From a single man's quest for truth, a religion was born that has touched the lives of countless souls across millennia. Buddhism's teachings on suffering, impermanence, and compassion speak to the universal human experience, offering a path to inner peace in a turbulent world. But the story of Buddhism is far from over. As it continues to evolve and adapt, it invites us to ask, what does it mean to be awake in a world that often feels asleep? How can we cultivate mindfulness in an age of distraction? And what role will Buddhism play in shaping the future of humanity? These are questions that linger, like the scent of incense after a prayer, inviting us to explore, to reflect, and to awaken. Christianity, the faith that conquered empires. Imagine a humble carpenter's son, born in a small town in Judea, whose teachings would one day echo across continents and centuries. This is the story of Christianity, a religion that began with a handful of followers in a remote corner of the Roman Empire and grew to become the world's largest faith. It is a tale of miracles, martyrdom, and the power of belief, a faith that has shaped art, culture, and history in ways both profound and enduring. But how did a message of love and forgiveness conquer the might of Rome? And what challenges did it face as it spread across the globe? Let us journey through time to uncover the story of Christianity, a faith that has touched the hearts of billions. The birth of a movement. Our story begins in the 1st century CE, in the dusty streets of Nazareth. Here, a young man named Jesus began his ministry, preaching a message of love, forgiveness, and the coming kingdom of God. His teachings were radical. He spoke of loving one's enemies, of the meek inheriting the earth, and of a God who cared for the poor and the outcast. His words drew crowds, but they also drew the ire of the religious authorities, who saw him as a threat to their power. Jesus' ministry was marked by miracles, healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and even raising the dead. These acts, coupled with his teachings, convinced many that he was the long-awaited Messiah, the Savior promised in Jewish scripture. But his path was not one of earthly glory. In Jerusalem, during Passover, he was arrested, tried, and crucified, a brutal death reserved for criminals and rebels. Yet it was this very act of sacrifice that would become the cornerstone of Christian faith. According to the Gospels, 3 days after his death, Jesus rose from the dead, appearing to his disciples and commissioning them to spread his message to all nations. This event, known as the resurrection, transformed his followers from a group of grieving disciples into bold proclaimers of the good news. But how did this small band of believers grow into a global religion? The spread of the gospel. The early Christians faced a daunting task: to spread their faith in a world dominated by the Roman Empire, with its pantheon of gods and emperors who demanded worship. Yet armed with nothing but their conviction, they set out to fulfill Jesus' command. The Apostle Paul, once a persecutor of Christians, became their greatest missionary, traveling across the Mediterranean, establishing churches, and writing letters that would later become part of the New Testament. Paul's message was revolutionary. He preached that salvation was available to all, Jew and Gentile alike, through faith in Jesus Christ. This inclusivity was a radical departure from the exclusivity of many ancient religions, and it resonated with the marginalized and the seeker alike. Christianity spread like wildfire, its message of hope and redemption finding fertile ground in the hearts of slaves, women, and the poor. But the faith's growth did not go unnoticed. The Roman authorities, suspicious of this new sect, unleashed waves of persecution. Christians were arrested, tortured, and thrown to the lions in the Colosseum. Yet the blood of the martyrs, as the saying goes, became the seed of the church. The courage of these early believers, who faced death with hymns on their lips, inspired others to join their cause. The triumph of faith. In 313 CE, a pivotal moment arrived. Emperor Constantine, on the eve of a crucial battle, saw a vision of a cross in the sky with the words, "In this sign conquer." He won the battle, and in gratitude issued the Edict of Milan, granting religious tolerance to Christians. This marked the beginning of Christianity's transformation from a persecuted sect to the official religion of the Roman Empire. Under Constantine's patronage, churches were built, councils were convened, and the faith was codified. The Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, for instance, established the doctrine of the Trinity, defining the relationship between God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But with power came challenges, debates over doctrine, schisms, and the temptation to wield faith as a tool of control. As the Roman Empire crumbled, Christianity became the glue that held Europe together. Monasteries preserved knowledge through the Dark Ages, their scriptoriums copying ancient texts by candlelight. The faith inspired some of the world's greatest art, from the soaring cathedrals of Chartres and Notre Dame to the frescoes of Michelangelo and the music of Bach. Christianity was no longer just a religion. It was the heartbeat of Western civilization, a global faith. The age of exploration in the 15th and 16th centuries saw Christianity spread beyond Europe's shores. Missionaries accompanied explorers, bringing the gospel to the Americas, Africa, and Asia. In the New World, figures like Bartolomé de las Casas advocated for the rights of indigenous peoples, while in Asia, Matteo Ricci sought to bridge Christianity and Chinese culture. But this expansion was not without controversy. Colonialism and conversion often went hand in hand, leaving a legacy of both faith and pain. In the modern era, Christianity has continued to evolve. The Protestant Reformation, sparked by Martin Luther's 95 Theses in 1517, challenged the authority of the Catholic Church and gave rise to diverse denominations. Today, Christianity is a global faith with over 2 billion followers spanning every continent. Its teachings have inspired movements for social justice, from the abolition of slavery to the fight for civil rights. Yet Christianity faces its own trials. The rise of secularism, scientific skepticism, and religious pluralism has led some to question its relevance. Scandals within the church have shaken trust, and debates over issues like gender, sexuality, and science have sparked division. How does a faith rooted in ancient texts speak to a world of smartphones and space travel? Can its message of love and redemption still resonate in an age of division? These are questions that Christianity must grapple with as it moves into the future, but its history is one of adaptation and resilience. From the catacombs of Rome to the megachurches of today, Christianity has always found a way to speak to the human condition, to offer hope in times of despair. As we conclude this chapter, we are left with a sense of awe at the journey of Christianity, a faith that began with a small group of disciples and grew to encompass the world. Its story is one of triumph and tragedy, of faith and doubt, of love and sacrifice. And as we turn the page to the next chapter of our series, we carry with us the echoes of this ancient faith, a reminder that the search for meaning is a journey we all share. Islam, the faith that united a world. Imagine a vast, sun-drenched desert where the wind whispers secrets across the dunes and the night sky glitters with a million stars. This is the Arabian Peninsula, a land of tribes and trade routes where a new faith was born that would forever change the course of history. This is the story of Islam, a religion that began with a single man's revelation and grew to unite empires, inspire art, and touch the lives of billions. But how did a message from a cave in Mecca come to echo across continents? What challenges did it face, and what wonders did it create? Let us journey through the sands of time to uncover the story of Islam, a faith of submission, peace, and enduring legacy. A prophet in the desert. Our tale begins in the 7th century CE, in the bustling city of Mecca. Here, a man named Muhammad was born into the respected Quraysh tribe. Orphaned at a young age, he grew up to be a merchant known for his honesty and wisdom, earning the nickname Al-Amin, the trustworthy. At 40, while meditating in the cave of Hira, Muhammad received a revelation from the angel Gabriel. The message was simple yet profound. Read in the name of your Lord who created. This was the first verse of the Quran, the holy book of Islam, believed to be the literal word of God. Muhammad's mission was clear: to call his people away from idol worship and toward the worship of one God, Allah. But his message was met with resistance. The Quraysh, fearing the loss of their power and wealth, persecuted Muhammad and his small band of followers. In secret, they gathered in homes and hidden valleys, their faith tested by threats and violence. Yet the message spread, drawing converts from all walks of life, including the Prophet's uncle, Hamza, and the future Caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab. In 622 CE, facing increasing danger, Muhammad and his followers embarked on the Hijra, the migration to Medina. This event marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar and the birth of the first Muslim community. In Medina, Muhammad became not just a prophet, but a statesman, uniting warring tribes under the banner of Islam. The Constitution of Medina, a groundbreaking document, established a society based on justice, tolerance, and mutual respect, a radical vision for its time. The pillars of faith. At the heart of Islam are the 5 pillars, the foundation of a Muslim's faith and practice. The first is the Shahada, the declaration of faith. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. This simple yet profound statement binds Muslims across the world. The second is Salat, the ritual prayer performed 5 times a day, a constant reminder of God's presence. The third is Zakat, the giving of alms to the poor, embodying the spirit of charity and community. The fourth pillar is Saum, fasting during the holy month of Ramadan, a time of reflection, self-discipline, and empathy for the less fortunate. Finally, there is the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, a journey every Muslim strives to make at least once in their lifetime. These pillars are not mere rituals, they are a way of life, a path to spiritual growth and social harmony. But Islam is more than its practices, it is a complete worldview. The Quran, with its poetic verses, offers guidance on everything from law to morality, while the Hadith, the sayings and actions of the Prophet, provide a model for daily life. Together, they form the Sharia, the moral and legal framework of Islam, a system that has shaped societies from Spain to Indonesia. The rise of an empire. After Muhammad's death in 632 CE, his followers faced a daunting task: to preserve and spread the faith. Under the leadership of the Rashidun Caliphs Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, Islam expanded beyond Arabia, sweeping across the Middle East, North Africa, and into Europe. The Umayyad Caliphate, with its capital in Damascus, pushed the boundaries further, reaching from Spain to the Indus Valley. The Abbasid Caliphate, centered in Baghdad, ushered in a golden age of learning and culture, where scholars from diverse backgrounds gathered to translate Greek texts, advance mathematics, and pioneer medicine. During this era, Islam's contributions to the world were immense. The mathematician Al-Khwarizmi invented algebra, while the physician Ibn Sina wrote the Canon of Medicine, a text used in Europe for centuries. The astronomer Al-Battani refined the measurement of the solar year, and the philosopher Al-Farabi explored the nature of happiness. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad became a beacon of knowledge, its libraries filled with scrolls from every corner of the world. But the Islamic world was not just a place of intellect, it was a canvas for breathtaking art and architecture. The Alhambra in Spain, with its intricate tilework and serene courtyards, reflects the harmony of Islamic design. The Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, with its golden dome and stunning mosaics, stands as a testament to the faith's reverence for beauty and spirituality, diversity and division. Yet Islam's history is not without its challenges. Early on, a schism emerged between Sunni and Shia Muslims over the question of leadership after the Prophet's death. Sunnis, who make up the majority, believe in the election of caliphs, while Shias hold that leadership should remain within the Prophet's family, starting with his cousin Ali. This division, though often peaceful, has at times led to conflict, shaping the political landscape of the Muslim world. Islam also embraced a rich tapestry of cultures, from the Bedouins of Arabia to the Persians, Turks, and beyond. Each brought their own traditions, enriching the faith with new perspectives. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, emerged as a path of spiritual devotion. Its poets like Rumi and Hafiz are crafting verses that speak of divine love and unity. Islam in the modern world. In the modern era, Islam has faced both triumphs and trials. The fall of the Ottoman Empire after World War I led to the redrawing of borders and the rise of nation-states, often with conflicting identities. The discovery of oil brought wealth to some Muslim nations, while others grappled with poverty and political instability. The 20th century saw the rise of movements seeking to reconcile Islam with modernity, from the secularism of Ataturk in Turkey to the Islamic revivalism of figures like Sayyid Qutb. Today, Islam is the world's second largest religion, with over 1.8 billion followers. Its mosques dot the skylines of cities from Jakarta to New York, its call to prayer a daily reminder of faith. But Islam also faces scrutiny, with debates over its role in politics, society, and global affairs. How does a faith rooted in the 7th century speak to the challenges of the 21st? Can its teachings of peace and justice bridge divides in a fractured world? Sikhism, the path of the warrior saints. Imagine a land where the rivers flow like veins of life, where the fields stretch golden under the sun, and where a new faith was born that would challenge the very fabric of society. This is the story of Sikhism, a religion that emerged in the 15th century in the Punjab region of India, a faith that blends devotion, equality, and courage in a way that has inspired millions. But how did a humble teacher's vision grow into a global religion? What trials did its followers face, and what legacy do they carry today? Let us journey through the mists of time to uncover the story of Sikhism, a path of love, service, and unwavering faith. A vision of equality. Our tale begins in 1469 in the village of Talwandi, where a child named Nanak was born into a Hindu family. From a young age, Nanak was different. He questioned the rituals and caste divisions that defined his world. At 30, after a profound spiritual experience, he emerged with a simple yet revolutionary message. There is no Hindu, there is no Muslim. For Nanak, all people were equal in the eyes of God, a radical idea in a society bound by hierarchy. Nanak became the first guru or teacher of the Sikh faith. He traveled across India, the Middle East, and beyond, spreading his message of love, devotion, and service. His teachings were simple meditate on God's name, earn an honest living, and share with those in need. These principles, known as Nam Japna, Kirat Karni, and Vand Chakna, became the foundation of Sikhism. But Nanak's vision was not just spiritual, it was social. He rejected caste, promoted gender equality, and encouraged communal meals, or langar, where all sat together regardless of rank or creed. Nanak's message drew followers from all walks of life, and upon his death, he passed the mantle to Guru Angad, the second of 10 gurus who would shape Sikhism over the next 2 centuries. Each guru built upon Nanak's teachings, their lives a testament to the faith's evolving identity, the gurus and their legacy. The third guru, Amar Das, established the city of Goindwal as a center of Sikh worship and introduced the practice of langar on a grand scale, feeding thousands daily. He also advocated for women's rights, appointing female preachers and challenging social norms. The fourth guru, Ram Das, founded the city of Amritsar, which would become the spiritual heart of Sikhism. It was here that the fifth guru, Arjan Dev, constructed the Harmandir Sahib, or Golden Temple, a place of worship open to all, its 4 entrances symbolizing inclusivity. Guru Arjan also compiled the Adi Granth, the first version of the Sikh holy book, a collection of hymns and teachings from the gurus and other saints. But his life was cut short when he was martyred by the Mughal emperor Jahangir, a tragic event that marked a turning point for the Sikh community. The sixth guru, Hargobind, responded to this persecution by militarizing the Sikhs, introducing the concept of Miri Piri, the balance of spiritual and temporal power. He built the Akal Takht, a seat of authority opposite the Golden Temple, symbolizing the fusion of faith and governance. The seventh and eighth gurus, Har Rai and Har Krishan, continued to nurture the community, while the ninth guru, Tegh Bahadur, stood up for religious freedom, sacrificing his life to protect Kashmiri Hindus from forced conversion. The Khalsa, a brotherhood of warriors. The 10th and final guru, Gobind Singh, transformed Sikhism into a faith of warrior saints. In 1699, he established the Khalsa, a brotherhood of initiated Sikhs who vowed to uphold justice, defend the weak, and live by the highest moral standards. The Khalsa were marked by the 5 Ks: Kesh, uncut hair; Kangha, a comb; Kara, a steel bracelet; Kachara, cotton undergarments; and Kirpan, a sword, symbols of their commitment to the faith. Guru Gobind Singh also declared the Guru Granth Sahib, the final version of the Sikh holy book, as the eternal guru, ensuring that the faith would be guided by scripture rather than a human leader. His life was one of courage and sacrifice as he lost his 4 sons to the Mughal persecution, yet his spirit remained unbroken, trials and triumphs. The 18th and 19th centuries were a time of turmoil for the Sikhs. The Mughal Empire, determined to crush the faith, unleashed waves of persecution. Yet the Sikhs, led by warriors like Banda Singh Bahadur, fought back with fierce determination. The establishment of the Sikh Empire under Maharaja Ranjit Singh in 1801 marked a golden age, with Amritsar as its spiritual capital and Lahore as its political heart. Ranjit Singh, known for his tolerance and vision, united the Punjab and fostered an era of prosperity. But the empire's glory was short-lived. After Ranjit Singh's death, internal strife and British expansionism led to the Anglo-Sikh Wars, culminating in the annexation of Punjab in 1849. The Sikhs, once rulers, became subjects of the British Raj. Yet their spirit of service and sacrifice endured. During World War I and II, Sikh soldiers fought with valor, their bravery earning them a reputation as some of the finest warriors in the world. Sikhism in the modern world. In the 20th century, Sikhism faced new challenges. The partition of India in 1947 displaced millions, including many Sikhs who fled from Pakistan to India. The 1980s saw a turbulent period with the rise of militancy in Punjab and the tragic events of Operation Blue Star and the anti-Sikh riots. Yet through it all, the Sikh community has remained resilient, their faith a source of strength and unity. Today, Sikhism is a global religion with over 25 million followers worldwide. The Golden Temple in Amritsar continues to be a beacon of hope, its kitchens serving free meals to thousands daily, regardless of faith or background. Sikh values of equality, service, and justice resonate in a world grappling with division and inequality. But the faith also faces questions: how to preserve its traditions in a rapidly changing world, how to address issues of gender, identity, and modernity. Jainism, the path of nonviolence. Imagine a world where every step you take is a prayer, where the smallest creatures are treated with reverence, and where the pursuit of truth is a lifelong journey. Welcome to the story of Jainism, an ancient faith that has quietly shaped the spiritual landscape of India for over 2 millennia. It is a religion of peace, discipline, and profound respect for all life, a path that challenges us to see the divine in every being. But how did this faith, with its strict principles of nonviolence, emerge from the bustling cities and quiet villages of ancient India? What drove its followers to embrace a life of such radical compassion? Let us step back in time to an era of sages and seekers and uncover the story of Jainism, a religion that whispers wisdom to those who listen, a faith born from renunciation. Our tale begins around the 6th century BCE in the fertile plains of northern India, a time when spiritual seekers roamed the land, questioning the rituals and hierarchies of the day. Among them was a prince named Vardhamana, born into the royal family of Magadha. From a young age, Vardhamana was different. He was introspective, compassionate, and deeply troubled by the suffering he saw around him. At the age of 30, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He renounced his kingdom, his wealth, and even his clothes, embarking on a quest for truth as a naked ascetic. For 12 long years, Vardhamana wandered the forests and villages, enduring hunger, thirst, and the scorn of those who did not understand his path. He meditated under the blazing sun, sat motionless through the night, and sought to conquer his desires and fears. Finally, on the banks of the Rijupalika River, he attained enlightenment, becoming a Jina, a conqueror of the self. From that moment on, he was known as Mahavira, the great hero, and his teachings would lay the foundation for Jainism. But Mahavira was not the first to walk this path. Jain tradition holds that he was the 24th Tirthankara, or spiritual teacher, in a lineage stretching back to the dawn of time. The first Tirthankara, Rishabhanatha, is said to have lived millions of years ago, a figure of myth and reverence. Each Tirthankara, it is believed, rediscovers the eternal truths of Jainism and shares them with the world. What ancient wisdom did these teachers impart? And how did their teachings survive the sands of time? The core of Jainism, ahimsa and the soul. At the heart of Jainism lies a simple yet profound principle, ahimsa, or nonviolence. For Jains, ahimsa is not just a moral guideline, it is the essence of existence. Every living being, from the tiniest insect to the mightiest human, possesses a soul, or jiva, capable of suffering and enlightenment. To harm another is to harm oneself, for all souls are interconnected in the web of life. This belief in the sanctity of all life shapes every aspect of Jain practice. Jains are strict vegetarians, avoiding not only meat, but also root vegetables that might harm underground creatures. Monks and nuns take this further, sweeping the ground before them to avoid stepping on insects and wearing masks to prevent inhaling small organisms. Their commitment to ahimsa is a daily meditation, a reminder that every action carries weight. But Jainism is not just about avoiding harm, it is about purifying the soul. Jains believe in karma, not as a cosmic reward system, but as a subtle substance that clings to the soul, obscuring its true nature. Through practices like meditation, fasting, and self discipline, Jains seek to burn away this karma, striving for moksha, liberation from the cycle of birth and death. It is a path of rigorous asceticism, yet one that promises ultimate freedom. The two paths, Digambara and Svetambara. As Jainism grew, it branched into two main sects, Digambara and Svetambara. The Digambaras, or sky-clad, believe that true renunciation requires shedding all possessions, including clothing. They're monks that live naked, a symbol of their detachment from the material world. The Svetambaras, or white-clad, allow their monks to wear simple white robes, arguing that modesty and practicality are compatible with spiritual progress. Despite these differences, both sects share the same core beliefs and reverence for the Tirthankaras. They also honor the same sacred texts, such as the Agamas, which preserve the teachings of Mahavira. These texts, written in ancient languages like Prakrit, are a treasure trove of wisdom, offering guidance on everything from ethics to cosmology. But how did these teachings survive the turmoil of history? And what role did they play in shaping Indian culture? Jainism's cultural legacy. Jainism's influence extends far beyond its followers. In ancient India, Jain scholars made significant contributions to mathematics, astronomy, and literature. The concept of zero, a cornerstone of modern mathematics, was refined by Jain thinkers like Brahmagupta. Jain poets crafted epics and hymns that celebrated the virtues of nonviolence and truth, their words echoing through the ages. The Jains were also master builders, creating some of India's most exquisite temples. The Dilwara temples in Rajasthan, with their intricate marble carvings, are a marvel of craftsmanship, each pillar and dome a testament to the Jains' devotion to beauty and precision. In Karnataka, the colossal statue of Bahubali, standing 57 feet tall, embodies the Jain ideal of renunciation and spiritual victory. These structures are not just places of worship, they are portals to a world where art and faith intertwine. But Jainism's impact is not confined to India. Its emphasis on nonviolence inspired Mahatma Gandhi, who drew upon ahimsa in his struggle for India's independence. Today, Jain principles resonate with environmentalists and animal rights activists who see in ahimsa a blueprint for a more compassionate world. Yet the question remains, how does a faith so rooted in ancient asceticism adapt to the modern age? Jainism in the modern world. In the 21st century, Jainism faces both challenges and opportunities. With a global population of around 6 million, Jains are a small but influential community known for their contributions to business, philanthropy, and scholarship. In India, Jain temples continue to be centers of worship and social welfare, their kitchens serving vegetarian meals to thousands daily. But modernity brings its own dilemmas. How do Jains reconcile their strict dietary rules with a globalized world? How do they maintain their traditions while embracing technological progress? These are questions that Jains grapple with, seeking to balance the timeless with the timely. Zoroastrianism, the ancient flame of wisdom. Imagine a vast empire stretching from the sands of Persia to the mountains of India, where a single faith illuminated the hearts of kings and commoners alike. This is the story of Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, a faith that has whispered its wisdom through the ages, shaping empires, inspiring prophets, and leaving an indelible mark on the spiritual landscape of humanity. But how did this ancient religion, born in the cradle of Persia, come to influence the world's great faiths? What secrets lie hidden in its sacred fires and timeless teachings? Let us journey back to a time when the gods spoke through prophets, and the battle between light and darkness was not just a metaphor, but a way of life, a prophet's vision. Our tale begins around 1500 BCE in the ancient land of Persia, where a young priest named Zarathustra, known to the Greeks as Zoroaster, wandered the steppes, seeking answers to the great mysteries of existence. Born into a family of priests, Zarathustra was no stranger to the rituals of his time, yet he felt a deep unease with the polytheistic practices and the moral ambiguity of the gods. At the age of 30, after years of contemplation, he received a revelation from Ahura Mazda, the wise Lord, the one true God of light, truth, and creation. Zarathustra's vision was revolutionary. There was only one God, Ahura Mazda, and the universe was locked in a cosmic struggle between good and evil, light and darkness. Humans, he taught, had free will to choose their path: Asha, truth and order, or Druj, falsehood and chaos. This choice was not just a matter of personal morality, it was a contribution to the ultimate triumph of good over evil. Zarathustra's teachings, captured in the Gathas, the oldest hymns of the Zoroastrian scripture, the Avesta, offered a new way of understanding the divine and humanity's role in the cosmos. But Zarathustra's message was not immediately embraced. For years, he preached to deaf ears, facing rejection and ridicule. It was only when he converted King Vishtaspa, a powerful ruler, that Zoroastrianism began to spread, its flame kindled in the hearts of the Persian people. What was it about Zarathustra's teachings that finally resonated? Was it the promise of a just and orderly world, or the appeal of a faith that placed human choice at the center of the divine plan? The core of Zoroastrianism, light and darkness. At the heart of Zoroastrianism lies a profound dualism, the eternal battle between Ahura Mazda, the god of light, and Angra Mainyu, the spirit of darkness. This struggle is not just a cosmic backdrop, but a daily reality, where every thought, word, and deed tips the balance toward good or evil. Zoroastrians are called to be warriors in this battle, choosing righteousness in every action. Central to this faith is the reverence for fire, a symbol of Ahura Mazda's purity and presence. In Zoroastrian temples, known as fire temples, an eternal flame burns, tended by priests who chant the ancient hymns. These fires are not worshipped, but serve as a focal point for prayer and reflection, a reminder of the divine light that guides the faithful. But Zoroastrianism is not just about worship, it is a way of life. The faith emphasizes the importance of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, a simple yet powerful mantra that encapsulates its ethical teachings. Zoroastrians are also known for their respect for nature, believing that the elements, earth, water, fire, and air, are sacred and must be protected. This reverence is reflected in their unique burial practices, where the dead are placed in towers of silence, open-air structures where vultures consume the bodies, returning them to the cycle of life without polluting the earth. The Golden Age of Persia. Under the Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great in the 6th century BCE, Zoroastrianism became the state religion, its influence spreading across a vast territory that stretched from Egypt to India. Cyrus, celebrated for his tolerance and wisdom, embodied the Zoroastrian ideals of justice and compassion. His famous cylinder, often called the First Charter of Human Rights, declared freedom of religion and the abolition of slavery in his conquered lands. The empire's capital, Persepolis, was a marvel of architecture, its palaces adorned with reliefs depicting kings and priests offering homage to Ahura Mazda. The royal court was a center of learning, where scholars studied astronomy, medicine, and philosophy, their knowledge preserved in the Avesta and other sacred texts. But the empire's glory was not to last. In 330 BCE, Alexander the Great conquered Persia, burning Persepolis and scattering the Zoroastrian clergy. The faith, once a beacon of light, flickered in the shadows. Influence and legacy. Despite its decline, Zoroastrianism's impact on world religions is profound. Its concepts of heaven and hell, angels and demons, and the final judgment influenced Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Magi, the wise men who visited the infant Jesus, were likely Zoroastrian priests, their gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh symbols of their faith. Zoroastrianism also left its mark on art and culture. The Faravahar, a winged symbol of the soul's journey, adorns ancient Persian reliefs and modern Zoroastrian jewelry. The faith's emphasis on truth and righteousness inspired poets like Ferdowsi, whose epic Shahnameh celebrates the heroes of Persia's past. But the faith faced persecution. The rise of Islam in the 7th century CE led to the gradual decline of Zoroastrianism in Persia. Many fled to India, where they became known as Parsis, preserving their traditions in a new land. Today, Zoroastrians number fewer than 200,000 worldwide, yet their influence remains outsized, a testament to the enduring power of their beliefs. Zoroastrianism in the modern world. In the modern era, Zoroastrianism has faced both challenges and renewal. The Parsi community in India has thrived, contributing to commerce, science, and philanthropy. Figures like J.R.D. Tata, the industrialist, and Freddie Mercury, the rock legend, have brought global attention to their heritage. Yet the community grapples with declining numbers and debates over conversion and intermarriage. Despite these challenges, Zoroastrianism's message of light, truth, and the power of choice resonates in a world often shrouded in darkness. Its ancient wisdom invites us to reflect on our own lives. How do we choose to walk the path of righteousness? What legacy will we leave behind? Shinto, the way of the kami. Picture a land where the mountains whisper, the rivers sing, and the trees hold secrets older than time. Welcome to Japan, where the ancient faith of Shinto weaves the sacred into the fabric of everyday life. As we continue our journey through the religions that have shaped the world, we find ourselves in a place where nature and spirituality are inseparable, where the divine is not distant but dwells in the world around us. This is the story of Shinto, a tradition as timeless as the rising sun, a faith that honors the spirits of the land and the ancestors who walked it. But what makes Shinto unique among the world's religions? How has it survived the tides of history, and what does it teach us about our connection to the earth? Let us step through the Torii Gate and uncover the mysteries of Shinto, a path of harmony, reverence, and wonder. A faith without beginning. Shinto is unlike any other religion we've explored. It has no founder, no central scripture, no rigid dogma. Its roots stretch back to the dawn of Japanese history, woven into the myths and rituals of the earliest inhabitants of the archipelago. The word Shinto itself means the way of the kami, and it is through the kami that the heart of this faith beats. But what are kami? They are the spirits that inhabit the natural world: mountains, rivers, trees, even the wind and the rain. They are not gods in the Western sense, but essences, presences that inspire awe and demand respect. In Shinto, the divine is everywhere, in the rustle of leaves, the crash of waves, the silence of a forest at dawn. This belief in the sacredness of nature is the thread that ties Shinto to the soul of Japan. From the towering peaks of Mount Fuji to the smallest pebble in a garden stream, every element is alive with spirit. But how did this reverence for nature shape the lives of the Japanese people? And what role did it play in the myths that define their culture? The myths of creation. At the heart of Shinto are the myths of creation, stories that tell of the birth of the islands of Japan and the kami who dwell there. According to the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, the oldest chronicles of Japan, the world began with the kami Izanagi and Izanami, who stood on the floating bridge of heaven and stirred the primordial sea with a jeweled spear. From the drops that fell, the islands of Japan were born, and with them a pantheon of kami: Amaterasu, the sun goddess; Susanoo, the storm god; and Tsukuyomi, the moon god. These myths are not just stories, they are the foundation of Shinto's worldview, a reminder that the divine is woven into the very fabric of the land. The tale of Amaterasu hiding in a cave, plunging the world into darkness, and being lured out by the other kami with music and dance, speaks to the importance of joy, community, and the balance of light and shadow. But these myths also raise questions. How did they shape the rituals and festivals that define Shinto practice? And what do they reveal about the Japanese understanding of life and death? Shrines, gateways to the sacred. To step into a Shinto shrine is to cross a threshold from the mundane to the sacred. These shrines, or jinja, are scattered across Japan, from bustling cities to remote mountaintops, each dedicated to a particular kami. The architecture is simple yet profound. A torii gate marks the entrance, its vermilion beams a symbol of transition. Beyond lies the purification fountain, where visitors cleanse their hands and mouths, shedding the impurities of the world. At the heart of the shrine is the honden, the inner sanctuary where the kami is enshrined, its presence felt but never seen. Shrines are not just places of worship, they are living spaces where the community gathers to celebrate, to mourn, and to connect with the divine. Festivals, or matsuri, bring the shrines to life, with processions, music, and offerings of food and sake. One of the most famous is the Gion Matsuri in Kyoto, where towering floats parade through the streets, a spectacle of color and sound. But what is the purpose of these rituals? Are they merely tradition, or do they serve a deeper spiritual need? Rituals and the cycle of life. In Shinto, rituals are the heartbeat of the faith, marking the cycles of life and the turning of the seasons. From birth to death, every milestone is accompanied by a ceremony, Hatsumiya Mairi, the first shrine visit for a newborn, Shichi-go-san, a blessing for children at ages 7, 5, and 3, and Kanreki, a celebration of longevity at 60. These rites are not just for the individual, but for the community, binding generations together in a shared reverence for the kami. Purification is central to Shinto practice, a way to cleanse both body and spirit. Before entering a shrine, visitors wash their hands and rinse their mouths, a symbolic act of renewal. Priests perform harai, purification rituals, to dispel misfortune and invite blessings. But purification is not just physical, it is a reminder to approach life with a pure heart, free from malice and deceit. Shinto and the modern world. For centuries, Shinto coexisted with Buddhism, the two faiths blending in a unique synergy known as Shinbutsu Shugo. Shrines and temples stood side by side, their rituals intertwined. But in the 19th century, during the Meiji Restoration, Shinto was declared the state religion, its ties to Buddhism severed in a bid to modernize Japan. This period saw the rise of state Shinto, where the emperor was revered as a living kami, and the faith was used to bolster nationalism. After World War II, Shinto was disestablished, and today it exists as a personal faith, free from political ties. Yet its influence remains woven into the fabric of Japanese life. From the quiet reverence of a shrine visit to the joyous chaos of a summer festival, Shinto continues to shape the culture and identity of Japan. But how has it adapted to the modern world? Can a faith so rooted in nature thrive in an age of technology and urbanization? A path of harmony and wonder. As we conclude this chapter, we are left with a sense of wonder at the journey of Shinto, Part 9, Shinto, the Way of the Kami Picture, a land where the mountains whisper, the rivers sing, and the trees hold secrets older than time. Welcome to Japan, where the ancient faith of Shinto weaves the sacred into the fabric of everyday life. As we continue our journey through the religions that have shaped the world, we find ourselves in the heart of a place where nature and spirituality are inseparable, where the divine is not distant but dwells in the world around us. This is the story of Shinto, a tradition as timeless as the rising sun, a faith that honors the spirits of the land and the ancestors who walked it. But what makes Shinto unique among the world's religions? How has it survived the tides of history, and what does it teach us about our connection to the earth? Let us step through the Torii Gate and uncover the mysteries of Shinto, a path of harmony, reverence, and wonder. A faith without beginning. Shinto is unlike any other religion we've explored. It has no founder, no central scripture, no rigid dogma. Its roots stretch back to the dawn of Japanese history, woven into the myths and rituals of the earliest inhabitants of the archipelago. The word Shinto itself means the way of the kami, and it is through the kami that the heart of this faith beats. But what are kami? They are the spirits that inhabit the natural world: mountains, rivers, trees, even the wind and the rain. They are not gods in the Western sense, but essences, presences that inspire awe and demand respect. In Shinto, the divine is everywhere, in the rustle of leaves, the crash of waves, the silence of a forest at dawn. This belief in the sacredness of nature is the thread that ties Shinto to the soul of Japan. From the towering peaks of Mount Fuji to the smallest pebble in a garden stream, every element is alive with spirit. But how did this reverence for nature shape the lives of the Japanese people, and what role did it play in the myths that define their culture? The myths of creation. At the heart of Shinto are the myths of creation, stories that tell of the birth of the islands of Japan and the kami who dwell there. According to the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, the oldest chronicles of Japan, the world began with the kami Izanagi and Izanami, who stood on the floating bridge of heaven and stirred the primordial sea with a jeweled spear. From the drops that fell, the islands of Japan were born, and with them a pantheon of kami, Amaterasu, the sun goddess, Susanoo, the storm god, and Tsukuyomi, the moon god. These myths are not just stories, they are the foundation of Shinto's worldview, a reminder that the divine is woven into the very fabric of the land. The tale of Amaterasu hiding in a cave, plunging the world into darkness, and being lured out by the other kami with music and dance, speaks to the importance of joy, community, and the balance of light and shadow. But these myths also raise questions. How did they shape the rituals and festivals that define Shinto practice? And what do they reveal about the Japanese understanding of life and death? Shrines, gateways to the sacred. To step into a Shinto shrine is to cross a threshold from the mundane to the sacred. These shrines, or jinja, are scattered across Japan, from bustling cities to remote mountaintops, each dedicated to a particular kami. The architecture is simple yet profound. A torii gate marks the entrance, its vermilion beams a symbol of transition. Beyond lies the purification fountain, where visitors cleanse their hands and mouths, shedding the impurities of the world. At the heart of the shrine is the honden, the inner sanctuary, where the kami is enshrined, its presence felt but never seen. Shrines are not just places of worship. They are living spaces where the community gathers to celebrate, to mourn, and to connect with the divine. Festivals, or matsuri, bring the shrines to life with processions, music, and offerings of food and sake. One of the most famous is the Gion Matsuri in Kyoto, where towering floats parade through the streets, a spectacle of color and sound. But what is the purpose of these rituals? Are they merely tradition, or do they serve a deeper spiritual need? Rituals and the cycle of life. In Shinto, rituals are the heartbeat of the faith, marking the cycles of life and the turning of the seasons. From birth to death, every milestone is accompanied by a ceremony, Hatsumiya Mairi, the first shrine visit for a newborn, Shichigo-san, a blessing for children at ages 7, 5, and 3, and Kanreki, a celebration of longevity at 60. These rites are not just for the individual, but for the community, binding generations together in a shared reverence for the kami. Purification is central to Shinto practice, a way to cleanse both body and spirit. Before entering a shrine, visitors wash their hands and rinse their mouths, a symbolic act of renewal. Priests perform harai, purification rituals, to dispel misfortune and invite blessings. But purification is not just physical. It is a reminder to approach life with a pure heart, free from malice and deceit, Shinto and the modern world. For centuries, Shinto coexisted with Buddhism, the two faiths blending in a unique synergy known as Shinbutsu Shugo. Shrines and temples stood side by side, their rituals intertwined. But in the 19th century, during the Meiji Restoration, Shinto was declared the state religion, its ties to Buddhism severed in a bid to modernize Japan. This period saw the rise of state Shinto, where the emperor was revered as a living kami, and the faith was used to bolster nationalism. After World War II, Shinto was disestablished, and today it exists as a personal faith, free from political ties. Yet its influence remains woven into the fabric of Japanese life. From the quiet reverence of a shrine visit to the joyous chaos of a summer festival, Shinto continues to shape the culture and identity of Japan. But how has it adapted to the modern world? Can a faith so rooted in nature thrive in an age of technology and urbanization? The Bahá'í Faith, a vision of unity. Imagine a world where the barriers of race, religion, and nation dissolve, where humanity stands as one family under a single sky. This is the dream at the heart of the Bahá'í Faith, a religion born in the 19th century that dares to envision a united world. As we reach the final chapter of our series on religions that have shaped history, we find ourselves in Persia, where a young man's divine vision sparked a movement that would spread across the globe. This is the story of the Bahá'í Faith, a faith of peace, equality, and hope. But how did this young religion rise from the fires of persecution to inspire millions? What challenges did it face, and what promise does it hold for the future? Let us journey through time to uncover the story of a faith that seeks to unite all hearts, a prophet in chains. Our tale begins in 1819 in the city of Shiraz, Persia, where a young merchant named Sayyid Ali Muhammad was born. Known for his piety and wisdom, he seemed an unlikely figure to spark a religious revolution. Yet in 1844, at the age of 25, he declared himself the Bab, meaning gate in Arabic, a messenger sent to prepare the way for a greater revelation. His message was bold. The world was on the cusp of a new era, one where a promised divine teacher would unite humanity under one universal faith. The Bab's teachings spread like wildfire, drawing thousands of followers, known as Babis, who saw in him a beacon of hope. He called for spiritual renewal, social equality, and the upliftment of women, ideas that were radical in the deeply conservative Persian society. But his message threatened the religious and political authorities. The clergy, fearing the loss of their power, branded him a heretic, and the Persian government, wary of unrest, arrested him. Imprisoned in a fortress high in the mountains, the Bab continued to write, his words flowing like a river, shaping the foundations of a new faith. In 1850, at the age of 31, the Bab faced his final test. In a public square in Tabriz, he was executed by firing squad, his body riddled with bullets. Yet even in death, his message endured. Legend tells of a miraculous event. The first volley of bullets severed only the ropes binding him, leaving him unharmed, as if the heavens themselves paused to bear witness. What power did this young prophet possess to inspire such devotion? And who was the promised one he foretold? The dawn of the Baha'i Faith. The Bab's prophecy was fulfilled in 1863, when one of his followers, Mirza Hussein Ali Nuri, declared himself Baha'u'llah, meaning glory of God. Born into a noble family in Tehran, Baha'u'llah had joined the Babi movement, enduring imprisonment and exile for his beliefs. In a garden outside Baghdad, known as the Garden of Ridvan, he announced his mission to be the promised messenger of God, sent to unite humanity and usher in an age of peace. Baha'u'llah's teachings were a call to unity. He proclaimed that all religions come from the same divine source, that humanity is one family, and that the time had come to build a world based on justice, equality, and love. His writings, including the Kitab-i-Aqdas, the most holy book, and the Kitab-i-Iqan, the Book of Certitude, offered a blueprint for a new global society, emphasizing education, gender equality, and the abolition of prejudice. But his message came at a cost. The Persian and Ottoman authorities, fearing his influence, exiled him repeatedly, from Baghdad to Constantinople, then to Adrianople, and finally to the prison city of Acre in present-day Israel. Yet from his cell, Baha'u'llah wrote letters to the kings and rulers of the world, urging them to embrace peace and justice. His words were a clarion call, but they were met with silence or scorn. How could a prisoner in chains dream of uniting the world? And what was it about his vision that inspired such unwavering loyalty, a faith forged in persecution? The early Baha'i community faced relentless persecution. In Persia, thousands of babies and Baha'is were imprisoned, tortured, or killed for their beliefs. Yet their faith only grew stronger. Stories of their courage abound. One tells of a young Baha'i woman who, facing execution, chose to weave flowers into her hair, declaring her joy in dying for her faith. These martyrs, known as the Dawnbreakers, became legends, their sacrifice fueling the spread of the Baha'i message. Despite the oppression, the faith began to spread beyond Persia. By the late 19th century, Baha'i communities had taken root in India, Egypt, and even Europe. Abdul-Baha, Baha'u'llah's son and appointed successor, played a pivotal role in this expansion. After his father's death in 1892, he traveled to the West, speaking in churches, synagogues, and universities, sharing the Baha'i vision of unity. His gentle demeanor and profound wisdom won hearts, planting the seeds of a global movement, a universal vision. At the heart of the Baha'i Faith is a radical vision, the oneness of God, religion, and humanity. Baha'is believe that all major religions, Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and others, are part of a single divine plan, each revealing a facet of truth. This progressive revelation sees each prophet as a teacher for their time, with Baha'u'llah as the messenger for the modern age. The faith calls for universal education, the equality of men and women, and the elimination of racial and national prejudice, ideas that were revolutionary in the 19th century and remain challenging today. The Baha'i community is governed by elected bodies, known as spiritual assemblies, with no clergy, emphasizing collective decision-making and service. Their places of worship, called houses of worship, are open to all, their nine-sided designs symbolizing unity. From the lotus-shaped temple in India to the serene gardens in Haifa, these spaces reflect the faith's commitment to beauty and harmony. The Baha'i Faith today. Today, the Baha'i Faith is a global religion, with over 7 million followers in more than 200 countries. Its administrative center in Haifa, Israel, with its terraced gardens and golden-domed shrines, is a pilgrimage site for Baha'is worldwide. The faith has faced challenges, from ongoing persecution in Iran to the complexities of maintaining unity in a diverse world. Yet its message of hope and unity continues to resonate, inspiring initiatives in education, community development, and interfaith dialogue. As we reflect on the Bahá'í Faith, we are left with questions. Can humanity truly unite under a single banner? How does a faith so young navigate the tensions of a divided world? These are the mysteries that keep the Baha'i story alive, a tale of vision and sacrifice that challenges us to dream of a better future. And so, dear listeners, we come to the end of our journey through the religions that have shaped the world. From the ancient hymns of Hinduism to the radiant hope of the Baha'i Faith, we have wandered through time, exploring the beliefs that have guided humanity's heart. These faiths are not just stories, they are mirrors reflecting our hopes, struggles, and dreams. Thank you for joining me on this voyage, for letting these tales wrap you in their warmth. As you drift into sleep, may the echoes of these sacred paths linger in your dreams, whispering of unity and peace. Good night, and may your dreams be as boundless as the stars above.